Welcome to Landscape Photography World, the podcast for everyone passionate about landscape photography. I'm Grant Swinburne and I'll be your host on this show, talking to landscape photographers about their creative processes, motivations, likes and dislikes. This week I'm talking to Sam Markham about his stunning landscapes. Sam is a self-taught landscape and wilderness photographer based on the south coast of New South Wales in Australia. He first picked up a camera back in 2011. Since then, he's fallen in love with photographing the world around him. Photography has made Sam appreciate his surroundings, especially the smaller details in life. He creates expressive images in an attempt to inspire more people to explore the beauty that this world has to offer. We discuss how he came into photography, his experiences during the devastating bushfires in Australia in 2019, and much more. I hope you enjoy the show. G'day Sam, welcome to Landscape Photography World. How are you going?
Good, Grant. How are you going?
Yeah, having a pretty good Wednesday. So thanks for taking the time to talk to me. How about you start with the Sam Markham story?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. Where do I start? 2011 is when I first picked up a camera. I bought, my mum and dad bought us a family DSLR. It was a Canon 600D. Mm-hmm. And I remember my mum telling me back then to not touch it and not put it in manual mode. Just, if you want to use it, but, put it in auto and just, go for your life, that's fine, but don't put it in manual mode, because she was scared that I was going to break it, or she didn't want me mucking up on any of the settings or anything. And I don't really think she knew that you could switch it from manual mode back to auto and it would just kind of reset itself. But I, being a disobedient child back then, put it in manual mode, and I haven't taken my camera out of manual mode ever since.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So what I guess is what's your earliest photography memory?
I remember the house we're living in now, my parents built that, and I remember, gosh, I probably was like 8 years old, I think, and we had that wasn't the Canon 600D. It was a really old film camera, like a Panasonic or something, and you had to wind the back of it. Mm-hmm. And I remember just sitting next to my dad's ute, and I remember turning around, and mum gave it to me to mind, and I remember taking a photo of some of the ground clearing equipment that they had there. Some of the builders had to clear the trees and stuff.
Yep.
That's probably my first photographic memory. Okay. I knew back before I was born, and early when I was born, my dad used to take photos on film, but I don't really remember that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So why landscape photography?
So I suppose a lot of people do the same type of thing. They go through the stages of, I did when I first picked up a camera. I went from, I picked it up and I took photos of my pets. I took photos of people, sport, wildlife, basically everything, you name it. The whole thing where you get the steel wool in a thing and you swirl it around and it sends sparks everywhere. But yeah, I think landscapes just stuck, and they just have ever since. So I just fell in love with it, and I can't really remember a specific moment, but I just ran with it, and just never really looked back ever since then.
Okay, so what motivates you to keep going and get your creative juices flowing?
Probably. Well, I'm based from the south coast of New South Wales, at a little place called Palmer, which is probably about 30 minutes south of Nowra and probably about 30 minutes inland from Huskisson.
Okay. Yep.
And I think that for me, I personally enjoy kind of taking photos of things that say most people might have even seen before in the landscape photography like genre, but trying to either get the best conditions possible or unique conditions, or I just kind of try and push myself in that kind of realm.
Yeah.
That's kind of a bad thing at the same time. I get a lot of like perfectionism type things, and it can be like a mental roadblock. You know, like you go out for like 3 months or something, and you shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, and you still don't get something you're happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I struggle with that sometimes, but I kind of like at the moment I'm sitting on quite a lot of work, but I'm just haven't really. I keep opening them up in Photoshop and then kind of just not feeling motivated to edit. I know that there's images in there, but just I'm not really motivated at the moment. But I'll get around to it. It's better to have a backlog than not have a backlog.
Yeah, definitely. So, what's your approach to that? I guess creative block, if you like. You know, are you just sort of popping them open occasionally when you feel like it and having a dabble, or are you just sort of deliberately letting some of them gestate until you're ready?
So I know I've got like little markers kind of going on in my mind at the moment. I can think of multiple images that I've kind of got to edit, and I know that photo is going to work. It's going to edit, but I've got to know. I've just got to sit down and be in the right kind of mindset to edit it. And I know that eventually I'll get there, but at the moment I've actually quite been enjoying just trying to get out more and just photograph at the moment. And like I remember when I first started, it was kind of get the shots around near my area. I live kind of close to a couple of waterfalls, and go there, take photos, and then it kind of just expanded and expanded and expanded. So the waterfall 5 minutes down the road, and then the rocks at Kiama, so like Bombo Quarry and Cathedral Rocks, they were about 45-minute drive from me. And after I kind of explored them and really kind of nailed some shots there, then it just kind of grew in this circle, this radius of where I wanted to take photos just slowly got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now the problem is that for me to kind of feel inspired or anything, I've got to travel further or push myself with like hiking into a remote area with some school friends or something, and trying to get to places that I've never been or something like that to keep me inspired.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, does where you live influence how you shoot as opposed to where you shoot? You know?
Yes and no, I suppose. I feel like I'm more condition based. So I know I probably shouldn't do this, but I do, and it's like I'll read the weather and I'll go, okay, that's probably going to be a good sunrise, or that's probably going to be a good storm. You know, if it lines up, I'm like, okay, this will probably work, which is probably something I shouldn't do, and it can be detrimental to my own work because I just won't go out on days which I don't think are the greatest. But it also is a positive because it makes you think, like if you can teach yourself how to read weather charts and whether you can kind of optimize the times when you do go out and try and chase those special conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like you're doing a bit of planning before you're going out into the field. Are you going out with a concept in mind, or do you just, stumble around the landscape and find what you find and shoot that?
So it depends on the location. If it's a really well-known location, it's kind of like, okay, I know what's been shot there. I've got other people's photos. I've got, just photos from Google Earth or Google Maps or Google Images in my head of, okay, this is what probably works there.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a location where I haven't really seen photos from, or if I'm, if I've been planning a hike to get into a different location, then I'm kind of just going there with an open mind and going, okay, and trying to look at the location with fresh eyes, even if it is a location that's been shot to death. I'm always trying to photograph it with fresh eyes, which obviously can be difficult. But if you know that you've seen a photo online of composition that works, and you rock up and the conditions are just going like crazy, and you've got crazy colors or sunrise or something, I feel like you're better off having, in the back of your mind, you've got that composition that is already going to work if you can't find something you already like.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is kind of bad because, a lot of people say, oh, you're just copying other people, but a lot of people have shot the exact same thing time and time again.
Well, to be honest, there's not much that hasn't already been photographed somehow. So
Yeah, and there's that composition works because it works.
Yeah, that's right.
If that composition works for that location, then there's a reason it works.
That's exactly right. And I personally don't have a problem with reworking somebody else's composition with my own sort of take on it. It's something that I think every photographer. And it's not effectively just copying what somebody else has done before, but it's interpreting what somebody's done before and then putting their own spin on it.
Yeah, well, I suppose, if me and you, let's just say me and you go to the same location, we shoot the exact same composition, same time, same light, we're going to still have different images because of how we edit.
Exactly. Yeah. The interpretation you put to it is always going to be slightly different, even if you capture. Well, and even down to the shooting, you might be shooting, at one particular shutter speed, and I'll be doing something else with different settings, and those setting differences will give you different effects depending on what it is that you want to do.
Yeah, and then when we get back into the editing suite, I might decide to put it in black and white, and you might decide to go with color.
That's it. Yeah. So in terms of the artistic side of things, when did that become part of what you do as opposed to just sort of recording an experience?
When I was younger, I wasn't into really like drawing or painting or anything like that. Photography, I say that I picked up a camera in 2011, but in retrospect, I probably did pick it up 10 years before that, even maybe, or 5 years before that, but I didn't really take it seriously. 2011 is kind of when I knew that, okay, this is, I could, maybe do something with this. And in the family, we've always had kind of a camera hanging around when I was younger. But yeah, kind of back then when it was, when mum actually bought a dedicated camera that wasn't one of the point and shoot pocket cameras and it was an actual DSLR, that was kind of when I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But there wasn't really any moment when it kind of switched in my mind and I was like, oh, landscapes, this is sick. It just kind of just happened. And the weird thing is that I remember back then, because I self-taught myself, but then for some reason, I don't know what it was when I was a little kid, I just never thought, oh, I'll look up YouTube or I'll look up into a book of how to do this. For some reason, I just never did that. And that must seem so stupid now. I think that's so stupid. Why didn't I just Google it? But I remember when I was a little kid, I was just.
When I started Googling this.
I remember I worked out that if I closed down the aperture to f22, that it made everything from kind of right in front of me to the back come into focus, but I didn't know why. Eventually, I don't know, it just worked. And then I realized that if I set the ISO heaps high, I get heaps of grain and heaps of noise, but I didn't know why. I was just a little kid trying to, work out what each of these things did. It probably would have been better if I YouTubed it, but I just never did. And I eventually just kind of worked out how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So how would you describe your style?
I think my mum's against it. She wishes that I took really bright, beautiful, beach type photos. The kind of the touristy ones you see on billboards, and everything's really happy, and you've got the two people in there in the sunlight.
Sunny skies all around. Yeah.
Yeah, so with the sunburst and all that type of thing. I think they're quite moody, I suppose, but they've still got that quite natural look to them.
Sure.
If you look at them, and I feel like a lot of people probably look at them and go, "Wow, he's done actually quite a lot of editing to that." And 9 times out of 10, that actually isn't the case. A lot of them the raw file actually looks quite close to that, even though it is a raw file.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't do sky drops or anything like that. It's all, if that was there, that was there.
Sure. I guess what are you trying to communicate with your photography or get across to anyone that might see it? Is there a story behind it, or is it just, here's a pretty picture?
A lot of that, I feel like it is a pretty picture, but it helps me, that I'm a desk foyer person at the local club when I'm not taking photos, and
okay,
that's my day-to-day life. But when I'm not working, I'm taking photos, and that helps me get away from work, and just that's my time. That's kind of why I do photography, because it makes me get away from everything else. But yeah, at the end of the day, they kind of are just pretty pictures, but to me, they're a lot more than that. Even though I'm quite young, that's my life's work right there. Yeah.
Okay. I notice you put a lot of emphasis on the environment in your work. There's some of your bushfire scenes, for example, are quite striking. How important is the environment to you? And I guess, is that something that you are trying to communicate as part of your work? Certainly to me, it seems that way, but I'm just interested to hear your take on it.
I wouldn't say I'm a massive advocate for that type of thing. I know a lot of landscape photographers are out there protect the environment. This is do or die. Obviously I care about the environment. I'm a landscape photographer. I don't want to see it not there. That doesn't give me anything to photograph anymore.
Nothing to shoot. Yeah.
But yeah, I love the environment. I love landscapes, but I'm not really one to put my 2 cents into that. Really, I just kind of stay away from the whole swirling pot of everyone. Global warming and all that. I kind of just stay away from that, and I just take my photos. I don't damage the environment. I just go out there to take photos. Really, I'm not there to put my 2 cents in for that.
All right. How do you balance? You're working full time or part time? How do you?
Just part time.
Okay, so that I suppose leaves you quite a bit of free time for photography. Is that right? Or
yeah, so I'm still living at home, just with mum and dad still. And yeah, with work they're pretty great with it. They've kind of acknowledged that it's a hobby, but it's kind of like a passion at the same time. It's more than a hobby, I suppose you could say. And yeah, they're quite flexible with my roster, and if I need a day off where I want to go chase something unique or something, they're quite understanding most of the time. But that's kind of one of the reasons why I've kept myself at part-time, just so I kind of have that flexibility to still kind of drop everything and go if I need to. Just because, I don't know. I suppose I can kind of use the excuse of I'm young and may as well travel while you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm old and I've still got that edge. You keep going till you stop.
Exactly.
So talk to me a bit about your local area, for people that don't know the area around your part of the South Coast. What's it like? What are conditions like, and what are the things people might see if they're in that area?
Okay. So I'm at just a local suburb. It's called Palmer. My house actually backs straight onto the local national park there, which is it's inside the Morton National Park.
Yep.
It's just but where I live, it's kind of like a nature reserve next to me, next to a house. It's called the Palmer Creek Nature Reserve.
Yep.
And there's a number of like different waterfalls all through there. Probably the biggest attraction, I suppose, is Tianjara Falls, which is probably 15 minutes from me.
Okay. Yeah.
It only really flows when you've got a lot of rain. Usually, you actually probably have to go while it's actually raining, because the day after it would be just gone. The whole thing just dumps really, really quickly, and
right.
You've got such a small window to get a photo of it with water going over the edge.
Yeah. What about a little bit further afield?
45 minutes about up north. We've got Kiama, which I've done a lot of my seascape work out there, and then probably 2.5 hours down the coast. I've got Bermagui and Narooma, which I really, really like to go down there when I can, even though it's a little bit further away, but it offers me some unique stuff which I don't get to see every day. And
okay. So what's the most memorable experience you've had while shooting?
I'm not sure if it's memorable, but I can probably the most emotion, your adrenaline's going, which would probably be my image entitled "My Country Burns" from inside a pyrocumulonimbus firestorm.
Okay.
I can, if you'd like, I can tell you the whole story behind it.
That's the point of the podcast.
Well, let's do that. So in 2019, on the 31st of December, so New Year's Eve, my family and myself out at Palmer, we defended our house against the Currawong bushfire from one of the fires from the Black Summer.
Yep.
When basically all of Australia was on fire, but we chose to stay and defend. That was our choice. We discussed it, and it was almost 20 years to the day. So 20 years prior, my dad and my mum's two brothers actually protected our property there. That we didn't have a house there at that time, but there was. My grandmother actually lives next door to us. She's actually passed away now. But back then, 20 years ago, she was there, and she had a small house just down the road. And my father and my two uncles, they protected her house 20 years to the day, which was on the Boxing Day, 20 years ago. So on that afternoon in 2019, we decided to stay. We had multiple sprinkler setups. Our house has got probably about a 60-meter gap all the way around the whole perimeter of the house. The house is in the middle of a kind of a paddock, and then you've got a clearing of about 50 meters all the way around.
Yep.
To where the tree line is, and I'm pretty sure that the local government regulations is only 40. So we've got about 50 to 60, which I can tell you right now, you need more than 60. So
I think we needed about 150 kilometres, to be honest.
Oh yeah, that would have been good. just no fire at all. That would have been even perfect.
That's
So yeah, I think a lot of people kind of think that, oh, it's just gonna, oh, I'm gonna stay and defend. I've got my garden hose, I've got my bucket. I'm gonna be fine. And that's not, that I can tell you right now, that's not what it's like. Even with a 60-meter buffer from us to the house, we lost 3 small sheds, we lost a car, we lost 2 large farm water tanks. Extensive damage just to the outside of the house. Our downlights melted with a 60-meter buffer. Our skylights melted. So from the fire came at 4 p.m. that afternoon, and the entire area from not 4 p.m. sorry 1 p.m. So from 1 p.m. The entire area just went black, and we did not see the sun until the next morning. So my family and I, we stayed and defended, and it came from the south. We've got a small little creek that goes down into our backyard, probably beyond that 60 meters. It's a little downhill. And if you know anything about fire, it actually comes uphill quicker than it goes downhill.
Yep.
And I remember on that afternoon, the whole, everything went black, and it wasn't smoke. The whole area wasn't smoky. It was just, the whole area just went dark, and then the wind dropped, and it was just dead silent. We all had these shirts, these long sleeve shirts and long pants with fire retardant chemicals on them, so it kind of prevents burns. We knew that we wanted to stay and defend, so we did it in a safe practice. We were prepared. We did that whole situation, and then probably about 1 or 2 p.m. the entire wind dropped. There was no wind, and then everything, it's like someone just turned the lights out, and then you could kind of see the fire came down the hill and went into the gully, and then that's when the wind dropped, and then you could hear a pin drop. It was that quiet, and then about 20 seconds, and then the southerly turned the thing, and it was like someone opened. The best description I can give is someone opens when you're cooking and you grab an oven door and you pull it open and you get that big waft of heat. It was exactly like that. So it was like someone opened an oven door, and then this thing just went ballistic. It was, my backyard's, well, we live on a 50-acre property, but in where my house is situated, probably 200 meters wide. And I want to say 40 to 50 meters high flames, and it just went ballistic. It took, there was not a single piece of green grass. It burnt up to the back step, so up to concrete. Everything else went. I remember there was a situation where I was at the left side of the house at the back, and so we all kind of had we'd all planned what we were going to do. My brother and my dad were over near the shed. Me, my mum, and my sister were situated along the house. And I remember it got that hot that I had my work boots on at that stage, and the rubber in my work boots doesn't exist anymore. We've got about 4 fire hoses on our actual house on the outside that I remember there was a stage where I felt that it was slowly melting to my hand. The side of my nose got burnt. It not really a fun experience.
Sounds pretty intense.
And then that's when it was kind of flaring up. That was when it's at its worst. And then it just rips the oxygen straight out of the air. So then you can't breathe.
Wow.
But you can breathe, you can feel yourself breathing. You can, if you breathe through your mouth, you can feel the air and the wind go past your lips. If you do that,
Yeah.
Like we'd be doing that, but then all you'd be getting in is like smoke and ash. So you'd get in nothing. There's no oxygen in that. It's just ash and smoke. And it's such a strange feeling. And yeah, just trying to describe that to people. I just don't, again, I don't think people understand that, yes, we chose to stay and defend, but we knew that it could be the worst of the worst. And that is as bad as it can get. It was a pyrocumulonimbus with it had a built-in flashover where it's called area combustion, where it's so hot on one side that trees on the other side of the road or on the other side of the property just ignite in flames because it's so hot. And it's just such a strange experience. And I've got a chunk of aluminium that sits on top of my bed head now, and it's from the car that we lost, I think it was. And the aluminium rims had melted, which if you look up, I think it's about 1,000 degrees for aluminium to melt. That just kind of gives you a sense of how hot it was. And they had some people come and inspect the trees there, and they said that for the whole area ignition thing to happen, it's around 1,000 degrees, which if you look up the surface area of the sun, area ignition is about 1/6 of that. So it got the degrees of 1/6 of the sun.
That's phenomenal.
So then,
and you're taking photos while you're going, or are you doing?
No, so I didn't even plan to pick up the camera. That was the least of my concern at that stage. It was, save the family, save the house type of thing. So after the main kind of fire front passed through, then you're just left with everything's just on fire kind of thing, and you're not really in danger anymore because we've got a 60-meter buffer to the bush. So my dad had mowed all of our lawn just basically back to dirt. And so we've got that 60-meter buffer. Then everything's just on fire. So that you're fine. You're not going to die, right? So then I remember I still had the hose, and I was, hosing down the house because there's still embers coming from all the trees and the wind's still blowing. And my mum came over and she said, she took the hose off me and she said, "Go and do what you do best." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Go get a photo." And I was like, "Really?" And I thought, okay, I suppose, I don't know. So I went back in, and it's probably not the smartest thing to do, but anyway, I thought, okay, well, I'll go get a photo. So I took my camera at the time, and I took my tripod with me. I don't actually shoot much anymore with a tripod, but I did take it because I knew it was so dark still. Kind of ran into the burning bush, or what was left of it, really. It seriously wasn't a smart idea because there's trees falling, there's branches falling, everything's on fire still. And captured a photo from within a firestorm and in the exposure, there's embers coming from this log, which are kicking up in the foreground. And it's, I still remember the embers kind of bouncing off my boots and bouncing around my tripod legs. And I don't really think you can get really much more extreme than that, really.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. And then from then on in, it kind of then I was kind of moved by that experience and thought that let's try and make good out of kind of what happened. So then I kind of created a mini series of images to follow with that one.
Yeah. Okay. And so what have you done with those images? Are you selling prints, or is it what are you doing with them?
So even including my bushfire images and all my other images, they're all on my website. You can just I ship prints all over Australia, worldwide. It's just the print. I don't actually sell it framed. I just I sign the print and roll her up, put her in a postal tube, and I send the print out. So all the bushfire images there for sale, and yeah.
Okay, cool. In terms of you mentioned you're not using a tripod much more. What's your process in the field once you actually decide where you're going to go and you've got on location? What are you thinking about? What are you looking for? What are you doing?
Yeah. So at the moment, I've kind of probably in the last 3 years, I still shoot with a tripod sometimes. Just depends kind of on the conditions. Obviously, nighttime or blue hour, you really need a tripod. But I'd say that the other 80% of the time, you don't actually. I personally think you don't need one. I'm shooting on the Sony mirrorless system at the moment, and have been for a couple of years now. And yeah, just with that inbuilt stabilization on the sensor, it's just it's pretty amazing what you can pull off. A big person I'm influenced by is New Zealand's Will Patino, who's also from the south coast of New South Wales. He does a lot of his stuff handheld, and me and Will met up in 2017, and he taught me quite a lot of stuff back when I was still kind of getting the ropes, the whole landscape thing. And yeah, he was shooting on a Sony back then, and I was on a Canon, and he was just, he could handhold like 3 or 4 stops below what I could do it on a Canon. And yeah, that's what made me make the switch. And I can comfortably handhold down to 1/6 now. Okay. And yeah, that's with keeping the ISO. I usually don't push it over 200, but my limit's kind of 640. Probably, I want to say probably 60% of my work on my website's all handheld, but a lot of that stuff's old stuff that was shot on a tripod. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, no, it's I just like the fact that a lot of people, oh, you're on a tripod, that's the only way to shoot. If it's not on a tripod, it's not it's not sharp, and I just think that's a lie. Like technology, yeah, maybe like five or 10 years ago that was the fact, but technology's come so far, and if we're all going to if we're spending thousands of dollars on camera equipment, and it can do that without using a tripod, then what's the point in you're just kind of limiting yourself with what you can do with a tripod, because there's definitely certain situations and angles that you can't get to with a tripod. And if you can do it without one, then I don't really see the point in having to use one.
Yeah, got it. So what about when you get the shots home? Or what's your processing workflow look like?
Well, at the moment, it's just put them on a hard drive. No, so I'll kind of put them into folders. If it's a multi-day trip, I divide them up into sunrise day one, sunset day one, sunrise day two, that type of thing.
Sure.
Or waterfall or location, and then I kind of open up the raw files and have a bit of a play around. I'm like, okay, I might do a quick 2-minute little edit on it and just see how it looks, and be like, okay, yeah, that file's got some potential, and then I'll usually close it down and don't open it for another 2 months.
Right.
But when I eventually do get around to editing it, I'll edit it, and then I'll sit on the image for a couple of days, and close it down, reopen it with fresh eyes, and another day, and you'll be surprised how many things you can pick up on a photo that you've been sitting on for a while. But another thing with that is I personally don't keep going back to the same image, because I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to that type of stuff. I'll open it up after 2 days and I'll just look at it and I go, that's a terrible edit. Why would I even think that's good? And then I'll just scrap the entire thing. So what I tend to do is I'll open it up edit that image, close it down. 2 days later, maybe open it up. But in the meantime, I'm also working on other images. So I just keep the the mind ticking over with different things, and then I'm not like, my mind's not hating the image that I'm editing, because I just get into this trap where I'm just like, what am I doing? That looks horrible.
Is there anything that you're trying to do to sort of get around that feeling? And I mean, that sounds like you're hitting that creative wall fairly often. What do you do to get yourself out of that?
I think it's both in the field and in the editing suite, actually. I feel like a lot of people go out, and if there's not a really good sunset or sunrise, or the conditions aren't perfect, they just don't go out. And then I'm kind of, in the past, and I still do it to this day. I read the conditions and it's not perfect, and it's something that I need to get past. There's other images out there than just that incredibly like burner sunrise and sunset. You can shoot intimate scenes, and you can bring the telephoto out, and you can zoom into those wider landscapes. That's something that I kind of tend to do if the conditions aren't right. I switch up the focal length or something like that. With editing, that's just kind of a hate relationship with myself and my computer, really. I don't know. Eventually I'll settle on an edit or a certain file, and I kind of just whittle away at it, and eventually I get there. Even as annoyed as I do get at the files, eventually it gets there, and eventually somehow it gets to social media and it gets posted. But I feel like a lot of the time I'm posting it and I'm still not happy with it. But that's if I've given it my best crack, then I've given it my best crack, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, fair enough. In terms of social media, what do you see that the future of that at the moment? And I'm asking that in terms of a lot of people have complained about their engagement dropping, particularly on Instagram, with the shift away from still to more video content than and there's also sort of the bit of a photography renaissance in Twitter going on. Where do you see social media's place in terms of photography, but also in particular landscape photography?
So I'm kind of a big on the whole shoot for yourself. It's not about the followers, it's not about the likes. That can get into people's minds, and oh wow, look how many followers this person's got, look how many comments, look how many likes this person's got. And that's just it's just this vicious cycle that goes over and over again.
It's the trap I think a lot of people fall into, particularly early in their careers.
And then like another one is like that you have to post, and you have to keep up, and you have to feed the algorithm of social media to be successful. And when I first picked up a camera, it wasn't for the likes, it wasn't for the subscribers, it wasn't for the comments. That all that type of thing was only just kind of really starting. And I miss the Flickr and 500px and the original Instagram boom. Like probably quite a lot of us did. We weren't on it from the start, and the people who were on it from the start probably do have a lot more followers than everyone else. But if you're shooting for yourself, and if you're if you're just putting the work out there to share it with others, then I think that's great. But I personally don't get caught up in trying to feed the algorithm and keep other people happy, because that's not the reason why I picked up a camera. It's for me, and that's why I like it. And eventually, I will release work, and I don't want to rush myself with that type of thing. And if people get unhappy with that, then that's their fault. They can choose to follow me, unfollow me. That's all them.
Yeah, fair enough. What's your favourite thing about being a photographer?
Probably that I really, really enjoy when you're at a location, let's just say you're at a sunrise and the sky is incredible. You've got, I don't know, you're at a seascape location, you've got great flow, your composition, you've nailed your composition. Let's say that you've scouted it before and you rock up and okay, this is going to be a good sunrise or sunset and I'm just going to nail this. And there's no one else there. And I love those moments when you've kind of pushed the shutter or, you're holding your camera and you've taken a photo and then you kind of just sit back and you kind of just take it all in and there's no one else there.
Yep.
And, 85% of the rest of Australia or wherever you are in the world is, fast asleep on their pillow somewhere or, heading off to bed if it's near sunset or something like that. And yeah, you've just kind of got the entire location to yourself. Yep. Or even if you're hiking with a couple of friends or something, it's just you and 2 or 3 mates or something, and you've got the entire location to yourself, and it's just like, wow, this is really good. For me, that's the thing that I really enjoy about landscape photography. It's you're there, you're in Mother Nature, and you're just you're at a moment when it's at its most special.
Yep.
And to top it all off, you're taking a photo of it, and I could just go out and I could just not take photos. I could just do that, but just to have that little bit extra thing of being able to capture it, and then eventually when I get around to post processing it, then I can share it with other people. But just getting to enjoy those moments where it's like, wow, like what a moment.
Yeah. Okay. So what about your least favourite thing?
I want to say the early mornings.
Yeah.
I feel like a sleep in. Probably the sleep in. I do like the sleep in. But photography wise, probably. Oh, that's a good question. My least favorite thing. Maybe not with my photography, but with like kind of the general community of, again, kind of just the whole thing I just talked about, feeding the social media like algorithm of post, shoot, followers, likes, you're just, that's all you want. You get fixated, the community just get fixated on this, like this addictive thing of, I've got to go to the next location. I've got to get the best shot. I've got to post it. I've got to get the likes. I've got to show people, just slow down, just take a step back, just enjoy it. It's not about, I don't think it is, I don't think it's about going fast and getting as many photos and of everything as quick as possible and getting it out there for the world. If you take a step back and just really enjoy it, then I feel like you'll enjoy your landscape photography more. Yeah.
No, that's a pretty cool way of putting it, I guess. What do you like to do when you're not out shooting?
I'm a bit of a nerd, as you can probably tell from the glasses. Obviously, you can't see the glasses in the podcast, but I do like a good movie or video games have kind of been a big part of my life since I was probably about 4, really. Other than, that's another thing kind of my parents introduced me to when I was younger was video games. And they've kind of stuck ever since. If I'm not, when I probably should be editing a photo, I'm probably playing video games and wasting my time that way. But it's another good hobby.
Okay. If you weren't a photographer, what would you be?
Ooh. I want to say I'd be probably something in the creative field, like maybe a painter, but I just don't think I don't think I'd have the patience for it, really. I think even though landscape photography, you've got to be patient, it's just a whole different thing because you're just staring at a canvas all day or something. I don't know. Maybe something in the whole video game thing. That's maybe not like a streamer, but I don't know, maybe, development team, or probably go to uni for something like that. That interests me a bit, but no, I think, I love the challenge of landscape photography, and I love how you can look at a scene different from another person. I love how, you might depict this of this location, I might depict that of this location. I might photograph a small little leaf with a measurement of like 5 centimeters, and no one else will ever be able to find that, because it's good luck.
Yeah. Who do you go to for advice about your photography? Is there anyone that you ask, or is it purely self-teaching?
I shoot a lot by myself, or with kind of just my whole friend group, but they're not really photographers. They kind of come along with me for a hike or a sunset, and they just kind of sit on the side and enjoy it while I shoot. Not really. I kind of do just spend time. It's just kind of just me and my photography. Maybe that is a bad thing. I don't know. It's just kind of always been that way. I've kind of just shared the whole photography thing with the people who are closest in my life, which I really enjoy. I've been on a couple of trips. I've been to one in New Zealand with a close mate. I've been to Tasmania with my girlfriend and another close mate, and we went around there. They're not landscape photographers, but they do like taking photos, but they're not just going there for landscapes. I feel like they like the adventure. But I do think that a lot of the time I kind of plan the trip, and like with recently with Tasmania, they get to see so much of the state, because I'm taking them to all these really unique and cool places for me to take photos. And I feel like they come away with such a great experience to tell the rest of their family, or their friends, that I went with my friend Sam, and we went down to Tasmania, and we went to here and here and here and here and here. Like it's like my friend's own little like tourist guide kind of thing.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it's kind of just always just been me, my camera, and I sometimes take my friends along with me. Really.
Yeah, cool. Is there anyone that you think I should be talking to on the podcast?
Someone who I have a chat to every now and again on Instagram is probably Matty Hopkins. I really, really like his style. I feel like we kind of bounce off each other with a lot of our ideas, and a couple, our editing styles kind of quite close with some things. He's I'd probably get him on. He's a great lad, and I'd love to kind of know how he got started with it all, and kind of what his future is with photography, if he wants to take it further, or
Cool.
don't think it's his day job, but I think you should get him on. It'd be really cool.
Yeah, okay. I'll certainly put him on the list if I haven't already got him there, because it's I don't think I'll ever run out of people to talk to.
No.
But it's always good to see if there's anyone new floating around. All right, well, I've got one more question for you, and it's probably the most important issue I think that landscape photographers have to deal with at the moment. Do you like pineapple on pizza?
If it's the only option, I'll eat it, but I'm not I won't go out of my way to order it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
Yeah.
It's not my go-to choice.
Yeah, like I like it, meat lovers, or I don't know. But yeah, if it's there, I'll eat it. Even if there is other pizzas there, I'll still eat it. I would kind of like to, have a slice of everything and kind of walk away with my own mini pizza.
Variety's the spice of life.
Exactly.
Spice of life.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to me today, Sam. It's been fantastic getting to know you a bit better and learn a bit more about you. Where can people find your work?
Yes, so I'm on all of the kind of major ones. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I am on Twitter. I don't really use it that much, but yeah, I am on there. Instagram's just Sam _Markham _, and then if you just type in Samuel or Sam Markham on Facebook, you'll find me. And
cool.
My website's just samuelmarkham.photography.
All right, brilliant. Thanks very much, Matt.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Grant.
Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at grantswinburnphotography.com. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.